So, reading from Deuteronomy chapter 29. These are the terms of the covenant the Lord commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab, in addition to the covenant he had made with them at Horeb. Moses summoned all the Israelites and said to them, "Your eyes have seen all that the Lord did in Egypt to Pharaoh, to all his officials, and to all his land. With your own eyes you saw those great trials, those miraculous signs and great wonders. But to this day the Lord has not given you a mind that understands, or eyes that see, or ears that hear. During the 40 years that I led you through the desert, your clothes did not wear out, nor did the sandals on your feet. You ate no bread and drank no wine or other fermented drink. I did this so that you might know that I am the Lord your God. When you reached this place, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, came out to fight against us, but we defeated them. We took their land and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Carefully follow the terms of this covenant so that you may prosper in everything you do. All of you are standing today in the presence of the Lord your God, your leaders and your chief men, your elders and officials, and all the other men of Israel, together with your children and your wives, the aliens living in your camps who chop your wood and carry your water. You are standing here in order to enter into a covenant with the Lord your God, a covenant the Lord is making with you this day and sealing with an oath, to confirm you this day as his people, that he may be your God as he promised you, and as he swore to your fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am making this covenant with its oath not only with you who are standing here with us today in the presence of the Lord our God, but also with those who are not here today. You yourselves know how we lived in Egypt and how we passed through the countries on the way here. You saw among them their detestable images and idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold. Make sure there is no man or woman, clan or tribe among you today whose heart turns away from the Lord our God to go and worship the gods of those nations. Make sure there is no root among you that produces such bitter poison. When such a person hears the words of this oath, he invokes a blessing on himself and therefore thinks, I will be safe even though I persist in going my own way. This will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. The Lord will never be willing to forgive him. His wrath and zeal will burn against that man. All the curses written in this book will fall upon him, and the Lord will blot out his name from under heaven. The Lord will single him out from all the tribes of Israel for disaster, according to all the curses of the covenant written in this book of the law. Your children who follow you in later generations and foreigners who come from distant lands will see the calamities that have fallen on the land and the diseases with which the Lord has afflicted it. The whole land will be a burning waste of salt and sulphur, nothing planted, nothing sprouting, no vegetation growing on it. It will be like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in fierce anger. All the nations will ask, why has the Lord done this to this land? Why this fierce, burning anger? And the answer will be, it is because this people abandoned the covenant of the Lord, the God of their fathers, the covenant he made with them when he brought them out of Egypt. They went off and worshipped other gods and bowed down to them, gods they did not know, gods he had not given them. Therefore, the Lord's anger burned against this land, so that he brought on it all the curses written in this book. In furious anger and in great wrath, the Lord uprooted them from their land and thrust them into another land, as it is now. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may follow all the words of this law. This is the beginning of Moses' third speech. It's part of a formal occasion where the covenant, that promise that God made to Abraham, is renewed. And why does it need renewing? Well, the people are about to enter the new land. They're a new generation. Remember, their fathers had died wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. They're about to face battles, and they need to be assured of God's strength and encouragement with them. And they need to confirm their adherence to their side of the covenant. And did you notice who's doing the covenant making? Who's included in the covenant making? Verse 10, the leaders, the elders, the officials, the children, the wives, the foreigners, everybody, all ages. Verse 10, it's a formal occasion. Standing in this context is a formal word. It's almost like standing to attention in front of the commander-in-chief of the army. The reading begins with a history lesson, before then thinking of the present and then the future. But did you notice the importance of the word today? Today you stand in the presence. Today you pledge your obedience to me. Today you are concerned about the future. It occurs 20 times in the book of Deuteronomy, and it's 5 times in this chapter. And it's trying to get over to us the immediacy of God and the immediacy of our response. We're supposed to respond promptly to God in obedience, not put it off. We often think, don't we, that I don't have to respond to God today. I can put it off. Or that prompting of the Spirit inside us to do something about our lives. And we think, well, I can put it off to tomorrow. But no, God wants a response today. You know, quite often we may think at times we can run and hide from God, particularly if we don't want to do his will. Remember Jonah. But this reading is telling us no, we can't. Verse 19. A person may think they belong to Israel. They've been born in the right family. You know, Israel, part of the people of God. They've been born to the right family. They're part of Israel. They've been through the right rituals, in this case, circumcision. They say the right words, and verse 19, they think they are safe and that they can do their own thing because, you know, I've been circumcised. I'm part of the people of God. Doesn't matter how I behave. Well, God knows. So that person may say to themselves, listen, God's not going to know. Well, says Moses, no. That's a false feeling. You see, outward appearances, doing the right things, saying the right words, going through the right rituals, won't save someone who disobeys God, who puts off the responding to and following of God in their heart. Verse 21. The Lord will single them out and blot out their name. There's no hiding from God's wrath. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 1, but there were also false prophets among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies, even denying the sovereign Lord who bought them, bringing swift destruction on themselves. So why, again, is God so severe? Well, verse 18 is like a poisonous root. It spreads under the surface where it can't be seen. And so it affects the whole people with its poison. False teaching, the disobedience, the hypocrisy. And so God says, listen, it needs to be rooted out and destroyed swiftly and promptly. So again, verse 19 is what we call nominalism, outward obedience. And it's a poison that spreads under the ground. It's not seen, but it's seen by God. And he will take action, severe action, because eventually, verse 23, it will lead to open, widespread rebellion. So it needs to be dealt with swiftly. He sees it. He knows it's going on. And all of this will then prompt future generations and the other nations around to ask, well, why has this happened? You know, isn't the description of verses 19 to 28 similar to 2 Kings chapter 17, the destruction of the northern kingdom? Why is God so severe? Well, the answer, verse 25, the people have abandoned the covenant. So one person's hypocrisy, or that small sin in the congregation, in the gathering, can lead to far-reaching consequences. And so it must be rooted out and destroyed. Not tomorrow, but today. Because it will cause long-term damage. The other aspect that's particularly warned about is in verse 29, the temptation to consult magic about the future. Of course, there's no need to do this. God has already promised them what the future will be like if they obey him, a land flowing with milk and honey with him on their side. Look, he's done it in the past. There's no need to worry about the future. Now, the surrounding pagan religions would use magic to find out what will happen in the future. And God says, listen, don't try it. The future is known in specific terms only to God. Our business is with the present, with today. And of course, the New Testament picks this up. Christians are to live by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, for we live by faith, not by sight. You know, think back. Moses says to them, listen, Abraham went out not knowing where he was going, but trusting God to lead him. And the Christian life is to be like that. There are things we don't know. And there are things that God doesn't intend us to know. John chapter 13, Jesus replied, you do not realise now what I am doing, but later you will understand. Our business is with what has been revealed. It's been revealed for our good and for our obedience. So don't concern yourself with what hasn't been revealed, what you don't know. It's better to spend our time ensuring we do these things, doing God's will now, today, than speculating about things beyond us. So don't read your horoscopes, don't go to seances, don't consult mediums, don't read tarot cards. Curious speculation, and that's no substitute for God's revealed will in his word. And he has revealed his will as much as we need to know. So the people there, about to enter the promised land, the covenant is renewed. It's one based on God's grace and provision for his people and his people's obedience to him. And we see God demands a response today. And when we're thinking about that response, remember, we can't run and hide from him. He knows what's going on in our hearts. And nominalism, an outward show, won't cut it. Likewise, sin in the community, in the gathering, in the assembly, in the church, must be cut out straight away before it affects the rest of the community today. And don't worry about the future. Don't consult mystics. Our concern is with today, with our love and obedience today.